is, of course, the one and only Nakamura on the line. Naoki Nakamura on the line through the gears in this incredible 2JZ Toyota GR86. Flicks it in. Look at that nice angle. Look at the angle he's carrying down now as he puts that car right where it needs to be. Early flick to this outside zone. Big scrape on the handbrake though, and he's sacrificed a lot of line there, and he's had to work to get it back into the outside zone. As now Nakamura flicks the back end of that GR86 right where it needs to be. Big angle from Nakamura, but he's got it dialed. Clicks the clutch across the line. It's Nakamura off the line in this Toyota GR86. Through the gears he goes. 2JZ said that this is the most comfortable car he's ever driven, and he was so excited to get back to Europe. He couldn't wait to get here. And look at that as he dives across the circuit. That's much better from Nakamura as he now keeps it clean in the outside zone. Fires through, picks up the throttle nice and early, hits the rev limiter as it transitions down. Look, dab of the handbrake as Nakamura picks up that inner zone, looks for the final zone across the line clean. And he does it for the Japanese driver.
Yeah, incredible
qualified, decides to take that lead position. But look, don't take your eyes off Nakamura because he's been looking deadly in this car as they fire through into gear. And into initiation, but look at Nakamura well out of formation, almost down on the inside there. I had to hold my breath for a second. I thought he was going to see contact way before outside zone 4. Now Nakamura back into formation, back in the flow, but he's very aggressive. Spossop not doing too wrong right now, just putting down an incredible lead line and giving Nakamura an opportunity, a big contact across the line.
Oh, wow.
So this man from Japan is Naoki Nakamura off the line, 43 years of age, one of the oldest drivers on the grid, but that doesn't scare him because look at the line. Nakamura fires that car in. Oh my God, Nakamura is not messing around. Look at the line, that first outside zone, this GR86 as he flicks it to an angle. Will he flirt with this wall? Of course he will. As Nakamura puts the car right where it needs to be. Oh, he jumps it. Nakamura is not messing around. Look at the angle from the Japanese driver. That was insane!
Oh, that was
go amber and they go green, and Nakamura comes off the line, screams through the gears, goes for a big flick across the circuit, right to the edge of the track. Wheel to curb and bumper to wall right now from Nakamura, unscathed so far as he puts the hammer down now, starts to drive through the middle part of the circuit, looks to go wide, and he certainly does. Spoiler over the wall for Nakamura, he's going for it right now, right to the edge of the tarmac. Nakamura's on an absolute flyer, big angle transition, puts it to the wall, across the line.
Every single square inch of this track, this man was
fresh tyres on the car, fresh fuel. Maybe not some fresh drivers, they'll be tired after that action, but here we go, through the gears they go, fire in, James Dean flexes the back end on the tyre wall, gets himself set up into the outside zone. Nakamura now finds himself on to the door of that Ford Mustang as they come through that inside zone. Dean looks for the out and now starts to open the throttle. Can he drive away? Certainly can. Nakamura a little wobble, tries to find Dean, Dean goes wide, holds it onto the circuit just about. They both slow down for that final outside zone across the line.
That's what I was talking about earlier. I mean, James Dean is incredible, but he is not perfect. There are still mistakes that can happen.
Still one half of the battle to go. It's going to be Nakamura to lead out James Dean for a spot in the final of the showdown, the qualifying showdown here at round 3, Drift Masters Finland, as they fire in to the outside zone. A little scrappy from Nakamura, and it has to wait for James Dean to make that dive onto the door as Nakamura now makes his way through outside zone 4. Dean times that transition perfectly, dials on the angle, almost couldn't slow the car down. Dean puts himself back into position and Nakamura takes it to the wall.
Interesting.
Well, there we go. So they pull to the line. Looks like they've got the thumbs up all around. Yet the anti-lag fires from both cars as they leave the line. It will be Makiva to chase down Nakamura for the qualifying showdown final here at round 3 in Finland. There's been a little bit of separation that opens up now. Makiva starts to shut the door. Makiva caught out a little bit there by the pace of Nakamura as Nakamura goes deep into outside zone 4. Through the smoke comes Dwayne Makiva, though, keeps a hold of it as Nakamura fires on big angle and big pace as he puts it to the wall across the line.
Interesting. I think...
Here we go, back on the line. Makiva to lead, Nakamura to give chase. Through the gears they go, down that start straight, flick to angle, and Makiva puts on big angle as he fires that car into that second outside zone. And look at this from Nakamura, he's not going to give up without the fight, that's for sure, as he now starts to dial on the angle, aggressive bites at the side of that S15. And Makiva leads him into outside zone 4, flexes the spoiler on the back of that S15, big speed from both guys. They keep a hold of it though as they fire through that second to last outside zone, on the wall, across the line. Spossum once again from Nakamura to lead out Spossum for a spot in the top 16, but we know how it ended in Spain. Can these two guys get through a battle nice and clean this time? And Spossum will be looking for redemption. Big long handbrake drag for Nakamura as he fires in to outside zone 2. As Spossum keeps his distance, just trying to gain some proximity, trying to get that S15 onto the door of that GR86 as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Look at Nakamura though, picks up the pace, absolutely starts to drive away from Spossum, and Spossum even shortcutting the circuit, can't hang with the GR86 of Naoki Nakamura as they come up the hill, fire through to the final outside zone. Spossum on the inside, he's not even in the conversation here.
Yeah, this shows the expertise of Nakamura.
He did, he found it a little too late. Now he has to work through in that lead position. This is going to be hard for Spossum to try and overturn that poor chase as he fires into that first outside zone. Look at this from Nakamura, but Nakamura, the more experienced driver, comes into this one and uses every ounce of experience of wet driving, of technical driving, of chase driving, of battle driving as he puts that bumper to bumper on the transition. Look at this from Spossum, he goes into that outside zone 4, but Nakamura can't be shaken as they come down the hill. Nakamura now opens the throttle, shallows up the angle, trying to gain some ground. As Spossum goes wide, he manages to make the transition into that second to last outside zone and across the line.
Yeah, Spossum did a great job at getting the rest of this run dialed in, knowing that he had a bit of a...
Dialed in the zone is Kvyat as he pulls the handbrake, one last little test before they leave the line. Fires through the gears, both guys absolutely firing in top 32, and a little wobble there from Kvyat as Nakamura gets that car right where it needs to be, right to the edge of the curb, onto the wall. And look at this, Kvyat knows he can trust Nakamura, the winner of our qualifying showdown yesterday, and look at the aggression from Torane Kvyat as he bats and bruises aside of that GR86 through the middle of the circuit. A little wobble from both guys as Nakamura now puts the hammer down, starts to drive away. Deep into the zones goes Nakamura, and here comes Kvyat as he applies the pressure, puts foot to floor, trying to find the side of that GR86 once again, up high on the back. Nakamura takes the wall, Kvyat deals with it. Strange line for that final outside zone. And here we go, off the line they go. Nakamura now to chase down Torane Kvyat as they fire through the gears. And look at this, Kvyat on form, fires that car in. Beautiful line from the Norwegian sledgehammer as he puts the back bumper of that S13 into the wall. But look at Nakamura, he can't be shaken. He shallows up the angle and he starts putting the front wheel of that GR86 onto the door. That S13 transitions before Kvyat and rubs the rear bumper as they fire through outside zone 4. Kvyat on a nicer lead line at the moment, but there is no losing the Japanese driver throughout this circuit as Nakamura is going for this one. He dives in once again, the final outside zone coming as Kvyat puts it to the wall and across the line.
Wow, solid run. The amount of angle that Torane Kvyat could get out of that car.
100 horsepower. Nakamura earlier on in practice choosing to do a lot of initiations rather than completing the full circuit because he wanted to get this dialed. And look at the angle from Nakamura, pulls it off but misses that inner zone. Now starts to work to get himself back on that qualifying line, fires through. Look at the pace he's got, he's absolutely ripping through the circuit at the moment as Nakamura flicks that GR86 to angle, flicks it towards the wall. Oh, contact with the wall as Nakamura almost puts himself out of the fight, hammers the throttle once again across the line.
Talk about a fun run though.
He's down in 31st position at the moment. We've still got drivers sitting on 0, so it's not all done and dusted yet. As a 77.5 is needed or more to stay in the show. Not such a wild initiation this time from Nakamura as he puts it where it needs to be, trying to impress the judges. Late on throttle into the outside zone, but still in there nevertheless as the smoke now starts to come across the circuit. Nakamura fires it towards the wall. Yeah, both tail lights almost painted along the wall as Nakamura squeezes the accelerator, looks for that final zone and job done. To lead first as a higher qualifier, they get the green light and they're off through the gears. And Laurie Heinemann said it's like a fantasy battle, chasing and battling Naoki Nakamura as Nakamura matches the initiation, but Laurie Heinemann deals with it better and fires that car right across the circuit. Now starts to pull away as Nakamura tries to get himself back into the fight, makes a big dive in the outside zone as Heinonen puts that car right to the edge of the circuit, fires it towards the wall and gets it done perfectly, and Nakamura fires through the smoke, just can't get there, just can't get that proximity. Interesting, this bit. We talked about this a lot. Here we go, Nakamura to lead out Laurie Heinonen. What can Laurie Heinonen do? Can he deal with these crazy initiations from the Japanese driver? And look at the pace that Nakamura's firing in, big angle. Heinonen deals with it, sticks to his own thing now, starts to settle himself into the barrel as Nakamura goes for the outside zone. Heinonen finds himself on the inside. Nakamura wheels over the edge of the circuit as Laurie Heinonen fires through the smoke, looks for the side of that GR86, trying to get himself into the mix, stands on the foot brake as Nakamura trying to slow that car down, and Heinonen almost makes contact. As he gets off the line, our starline marshal Marcin sends him along his way for a run at Riga. as he kicks the clutch nice and early. Very wild initiation. Look at that, barely slows the rear wheels and then gets into it. Shallows up the angle, makes sure he's in that zone as he now transitions back on throttle. Big clutch kick for Nakamura. Gets into that outside zone, looks for that transition back, makes it work. Very nice line from Nakamura. And a scrappy transition, but gets it done nevertheless as Nakamura goes for the rear bumper onto the wall. Big clutch kick once again and across the line.
Really clean things up since practice.
No one seems to get close to him at the moment here in Riga. What are we going to see as he come off the line with Naoki Nakamura as he uses, again, all of the circuit. Gets that car right to the edge of the track. Too much. Holds on to it. Almost over-rotates. Puts that car into a spin. Now starts to get himself back into the groove. Right to the edge of the track. Onto the curb he goes. Flicks that car to angle. Stands on the accelerator. Comes over that little jump, that little bubble. On the handbrake for a long time. Trying to find that outside zone. On the foot brake now. Working the back end. That GR86 towards the wall. He'll want to get this one done and dusted and continue to fight for a championship as they come off the start line and through the gears. Purser goes wheel to wheel and side to side to him. They both throw it across the circuit into initiation, and Purser now goes for that rear bumper, but Naoki Nakamura falls out of the outside zone. It completely messes up Kevin Purser. Purser now miles behind, starts to get himself back into it as Nakamura finds that outside zone, looks for the final transition in this long outside zone, and he's handbraking, trying to get himself on that perfect qualifying line, on the throttle and across the line.
Yes, it's one of those situations where getting that grip, getting that speed, looks like that's what they're doing.
It looks like that's what we're going to do. But they're off the line. It's going to be the Estonian driver, Kevin Purser, to lead out Naoki Nakamura from Japan as they fire through the gears. Nice initiation from the Estonian, but now he starts to waver in that first outside zone. And look at this from Nakamura, tucked up on the inside, up the curve. Goes Kevin Purser as he goes nice and wide for that outside zone, but misses it. Doesn't manage to get there. That car turned up with all the grip. Nakamura all over the inside of the circuit. Goes for a transition back, and Kevin Purser now can't find that outside zone as he fires it to the wall. Nakamura onto the door.
Wonder if maybe that contact did create a bit of an issue for Kevin Purser, because that's not...
Legend Nakamura, it's incredible. Toyota GR86 2JZ, 900 horsepower, comes off the line, flicks it left to right. Nice initiation for Nakamura. Flames are up from the back of the GR86 as he stands on the throttle. Left foot brake once again. That's something to be considered right now that me and Jacob were thinking was maybe a good thing to do for these guys, but obviously not. Nice little dab of the handbrake, sets himself up for outside zone 4 as he stands on the accelerator. You can see the tail lights shining off the wall now as the sun sets in Germany. Back on the throttle once again in outside zone 6 and 7 coming up as he puts it right to the edge of the circuit and across the line.
Well, really, I left foot brake is a correction.
It is. We did last time in 2023 as Nakamura comes through looking to improve on that score as he flicks that GR86 to angle. 2JZ singing on the handbrake for a long period of time though, and has to re-handbrake again as he comes up to outside zone 2. Now starts to find the groove, starts to get himself into the moment as Naoki Nakamura finds outside zone 4 nice and early, stands on the foot brake, wanders a little bit but still keeps the back end where it needs to be. Naoki Nakamura goes for the wall, goes for that white line, stands on the throttle, looks for that final outside zone and the wall and across the line.
Yeah, started to clean it up a lot. I mean, it'll be up to the judges really if he's able to make it. Nakamura though, on form in practice today. This should be great.
This should be great. Here we go. It's man versus man as the machine is equal as they fire in a nice early initiation from Nakamura as he looks down the side of the other GR86 as they fire into that second outside zone. Written on an absolute flyer, looking cool, calm and collected earlier today in practice. Oh, and he got deep into the wall and they bang wheels and Written carries on, but big contact. And they've both had to shut it down. Yeah, that is a big amount of contact on the back of that car.
Yeah, that was really, really interesting. Looks like, I mean, both drivers are good. That is good. Tough to tell there. Oh, I'm seeing a DV.
Up before he launches that car off the start line. Nakamura to lead out Marco Zaccaril as they fire through the gears. Anti-lag popping and banging from both the cars. And Zaccaril goes a little dive down the inside and an odd line into outside zone 1 for Nakamura. Now starts to find the pace, squeezes the throttle, but there's no shaking. Zaccaril at the moment looks for outside zone 4. Both guys into it nice and deep. Zaccaril giving Nakamura the room to manoeuvre. Will he now make the dive down the inside, or has Nakamura got the grip and he puts it where it needs to be? Nakamura onto the wall, goes wide and shallow in that final outside zone.
Nakamura has gotten much smoother through. I mean,
here we go in the lead position. Marco Zaccaril now to lead out. Naoki Nakamura as they come off the start line and through the gears and fires in. And Zaccaril already on it, already deep into that outside zone. Nakamura tucks up onto the inside, onto the door, and Zaccaril gives him the perfect lead to follow. Wow, that transition from Nakamura, you can see how close he was. Both dive into outside zone 4. Nakamura hunting him down as he goes for the door once again through the smoke. Nakamura way out of position though, mistimed the transition, now goes to get himself back into the fight. as they jump across the line.
Wow, that was pretty dicey there. Nakamura having a bit of
900 horsepower. This on the line, this incredible car. This man, such a character at Drift Masters, said that he was so desperate to get back. What can he do here in the stadium? Oh, a little tag, you can see it just upset the car, but now works himself back into it again on the foot brake. Naoki Nakamura fires himself into outside zone 4, sets himself up lovely on the foot brake. Flirts with danger though, that rear wheel so close to the wall. You see these short chassis GRs and GT86s cause bad damage, but no problem so far for Naoki Nakamura as he gets into outside zone 7 on the foot brake, dials on the angle, fires the back end towards the wall. Things down there are crazy. The final is mad. The final's going to get even madder because Naoki Nakamura comes off the line in this incredible GR86. He fires through the man from Japan. What can he do as he sits in 26th place with a 91 at the moment? Drift Masters final is heating up turn by turn as we turn the temperature up for the Red Bull Drift Masters final here at Apagae Narodoway in Warsaw as Naoki Nakamura fulfills all of the outside zones. He flicks the car across the circuit, down to the handbrake, slows it down, but then has to get back on the foot brake to push the back end towards the wall. Nakamura on the throttle once again and across the line.
He's another driver just stepping up. They just get enough left on it to put up a good chase.
Well, there we go, interesting times at Drift Masters finale here in Warsaw in Poland as Jarko Juna leads out Naoki Nakamura. Nakamura straight onto the door of that JZX100 as Jarko Juna, the Finishman, tries to put on the best, the cleanest lead line he can. And look at that line already as Juna gets into outside zone 4. There's no shaking Naoki Nakamura though as Nakamura goes for that front wheel, shallow angle out of the outside zone, now falls into formation, starts to push Jarko Juna around the circuit, starts to bully the young Finn as they get into outside zone 6. Both guys tag the wall, both guys make a correction, but now get back into it on the wall and across the line. Japanese legend. Come off the line and through the gears. It's going to be Nakamura to lead out Jarko Juna as they fire into that first outside zone. Look at this from Juna, straight onto the side, straight onto the door, manages it, dials it in and mirrors the angle. This is brilliant from Jarko Juna, and it's a really clean lead line so far from Naoki Nakamura as he works the angle into the car. A little scrappy in outside zone 4, but now starts to accelerate away as he picks up outside zone 5. Jarko Juna though can't be shaken as the young Finn gets into it. Outside zone 6 fulfilled, and Jarko Juna has been with him the whole way, and Juna almost overtakes him across the line.
Wow, Jarko Juna is absolutely on it. He's
for the final battles of the evening. They get the cars into gear and they're off the line. Nakamura to chase down Makiva. Through the gears they go as Makiva fires into outside zone 1. Little dab of the handbrake, now sets himself up perfectly. Both guys touch the wall though, and Makiva starts to shred the back bumper off the back of that 180SX as they flick through once again. Makiva into outside zone 4, sets himself up nicely, but look at this, no shaking. The Japanese driver Nakamura shallows off the angle, trying to put the front wheel on the door. Oh, so much grip, he pops a wheel off the tarmac. We've not seen that all evening as Nakamura now hunts down Makiva. Both of them touch the wall. They go for the final outside zone. They're into the wall again. That's a mistake. Wow. We'll see how this one goes as they swap them around and they go for it again. Look at this, Makiva super aggressive as he goes down the door of Naoki Nakamura. They fire into outside zone 1. Nakamura into the wall. Look at this, Makiva tagging the door already, pushing Naoki Nakamura around the circuit. They transition back. Makiva goes for it. He's on the hunt right now for a kill as he goes for the front wheel of Nakamura's GR86. They both fire through. They look for outside zone 5, collected as they transition together, perfectly timed. But look at Makiva, he's onto the front wheel, he's glued to the side of that GR86. They go wheel to wheel across the line. Wow!
He's like this all weekend. I don't know how he does it.
No, so nor do I, but here we go. We're going to find out how he's going to do it right now. They come off the line and through the gears. It's going to be Alan Hines to fire in that S15. He gets into that first outside zone and tickles the wall with the back end. And now Naoki Nakamura starts to find the side of that green and white S15. They fire into outside zone 4. Nakamura with him once again as Alan Hines shallows up the angle. And it looks like he struggles there for a little bit of pace and grip, and now starts to unwind and uncoil the spring as they get into outside zone 6. Naoki Nakamura can't be shaken. Hines on a very shallow line. He tries to pull away, but he can't get away from him. Up the side of that GR86 as he almost pushes Nakamura off the start line. They burst through the gears, flames erupt. They go for it as they fire in. Nakamura starts to pull a gap already on Alan Hines as he has to shallow up the angle, fire that car in and flick it to angle. They fire through that inside zone, back into outside zone 4 as Nakamura shallows up the angle, now starts to wind on the angle, the grip in full effect as he fires through the middle of the circuit. Alan Hines looks like he's playing chase with a mouse right now. He can't hang with Nakamura. Shallows up the angle once again as he puts it to the line from the back of the GR86 as they come off the line. This is it, a spot in the final away Japan. They flick the cars from left to right and in to outside zone 1. Nakamura shallows off the angle, gets himself into the wall, but deals with it as Korpolinski once again clean. The surgeon puts on a clinic out front and opens the door for Nakamura, and he certainly does open the door as Nakamura takes a step in, he takes a step out, and then back in again as Nakamura plays with Korpolinski. The grip in that car is phenomenal as Korpolinski dials on the angle, tries to shake the Japanese driver, but there's no losing Nakamura. Is going to try and do. They sit on the line, the cars come off the line and through the gears. Nakamura will lead out Pavel Korpolinski as they fire into the initiation. Korpolinski goes earlier than Nakamura and uses that to fire the car up into the door of that GR86 as they come through that inner zone. Korpolinski takes the bumper off on the wall. Korpolinski's not messing around as he drags it around the circuit. He now tries to get closer to Nakamura as they fire through. Korpolinski is not messing around. He wants this more than ever. A shot for the final awaits for Korpolinski, but look at Nakamura as he flicks it to angle.
That last 5% that Korpolinski needs to never expect, and the question becomes, does he do it again? Does he push harder, or does he fall back to the precision that he knows so well?
There we go. We're off the line, we're about to find out as Pavel Korpolinski flicks the car across the circuit. Look at that, Nakamura straight line initiation, dives straight in, dips the car down, now works his way into the door and on to the rear bumper. Pavel Korpolinski's S14. Korpolinski seems to have turned that car up, more grip than before, and it looks like Nakamura now struggling to keep up, but he does make some dives in outside zone 4. He's going to make a dive here across the circuit, and he does as they get into outside zone 6. Korpolinski goes for it, absolutely flying, and once again Nakamura loses ground across the line. Start line Marshall and now Japanese driver. Here we go, off the line though, no messing around. Nakamura bangs through the gears. Look at the aggression already from both guys as Korpolinski fires in. He's on the inside of the circuit, he needs to regain some lost ground in outside zone 1 as they flick through. Play dangerous game as they squeeze those cars alongside the wall into this long outside zone 4, door to door, wheel to wheel, as Nakamura flicks the car to angle, looking for outside zone 5. Korpolinski hunting him down on the handbrake, getting that car set up for outside zone 6 as they now go wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper. There's no messing around as Nakamura flicks it to the wall. Nakamura slams the car into gear and says, well, you've got to go through me first. They're off the line. This is it. The third step on the podium awaits for one of these drivers as they slam through the gears. James Dean flicks the Ford Mustang across and into outside zone 1, but Nakamura is flawless as always into the door already as Nakamura won't let James Dean get away. They flirt with danger on the wall as they get into outside zone 4. James Dean on the throttle, on the zone, in the wall and on contact with Naoki Nakamura as they get across the circuit into outside zone 6. James Dean dials on the angle, but his contact, and did that upset the line from James Dean as they get into 7 across the line.
This is the type of battle that both of them are looking
They come off the line, ready to go as both cars hop off the tarmac into gear and through across the circuit. Nakamura fires in. James Dean knows he can't let him get away. Oh, they both make contact with the wall and each other as Dean flexes the back end of that Mustang. They shallow up through inside 3, now back onto it, into outside zone 4. James Dean on the door, tagging Nakamura, not messing around, letting him know he's there, but Nakamura seems to have a little bit more pace in that car as he squeezes the throttle, tries to drive away from James